So the new old man of sports in our marketplace is the head director of sports at WLNS TV6. And I'll tell you what, round of applause for the job you're doing. I mean, you really are doing a good job. So we're going to bring up Ian Kress to introduce our speaker today. So please welcome Ian Kress.
Thank you, Chris. As I stated earlier, I'm the sports director at Channel 6 and took over in November officially, and with the role, I have a lot of opportunities to meet the coaches at Michigan State. And what's been cool recently, there's a lot of new coaches at Michigan State. You know, the women's soccer team, volleyball, hockey with Adam Nightingale, football obviously coming up in the fall, and the women's basketball program with Robyn. This past year, she completed her first year, led Michigan State to the NCAA tournament, and it's the first time a coach in program history has guided the Spartans to the tournament in their first year as head coach. They went 22-9 overall, so it's the most wins MSU has had since 2015-16. They went 12-6 in the Big Ten, earned a double bye in the Big Ten tournament. First time that's happened since 2016. And if you meet Robyn, you look at her resume, she just knows how to win. She started at Ashland University at the Division II level. They won 2 national championships, and over a 3-year span, they won 104-3. So they won 104 games and only lost 3 in 3 years. Then she went up to Bowling Green, and in her last year there, they won 31 games, which tied a record for the most wins a MAC school has ever had. And if you looked at the team this past year for Michigan State, you can see they're on the rise, like a lot of programs at Michigan State. So that being said, oh, and she's an Okemos alum, so she's from the area. So that being said, Robyn Fralick.
All right, good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me. This is such a treat when I got here. Excuse me. I saw so many familiar faces, like old high school friends, people I've gotten to meet in the community, an Orange Theory workout buddy. So for me, this is really a treat. I appreciate the introduction as well. And thank you for doing such a great job covering our team this year. I'm Robyn Fralick. I just wrapped up my first season at Michigan State, born and raised in Okemos, graduated in 2000. I have some Okemos high school buddies in here today. We're coming up on that 25-year reunion, so time flies. A few things about me, it's really cool being back. I was born at Sparrow Hospital. Like, I remember Saturday afternoons at Nancy Moore Park playing soccer and then eating at Dagwood's. And we went to Dagwood's recently, and they have the exact same burger deal at the exact same price. Now I just actually get to have the beer that goes with it. I've tried to, coming back, there's just been so many cool pieces of me remembering what I love so much about growing up here and getting to share it now with my family and my children. And it was about a year ago at this time when we made the decision to move to Michigan State and this journey started. And I'd like a little story to share about the beginning of that. So I come home, we're living in Bowling Green. I was the head women's coach at Bowling Green. And we haven't told our kids yet. Okay, at the time, my son is 10, my daughter is 6. Some background, they are die-hard Spartan fans. Like my son, we used to have to put him in Michigan State timeouts. He'd be like mad at Cassius, you know, on a first-name basis. I remember specifically the NCAA tournament when they were playing Duke. We had to send him to timeout. We were like, you are in timeout. We called it Michigan State timeout because he was so mad about something that happened in the game. So we're thinking, okay, at least we're telling him we're moving to Michigan State, right? If there's anywhere we're moving, this is a place that he will be excited about. So comes home from school, you know, it's an emotional day for us in a lot of ways because we're really excited and we're really sad. I think you can hold the duality of both. I think you can be excited about something and really sad about leaving somewhere you love. So he comes home from school, and we sit him down and we share with him that we're moving. I mean, full tears, like mom's heart breaks. And he says to me, and I'll never forget this, he says to me, he goes, "Why would you make me move? I'm already happy." And I'm like, you're 10. Like, I can't imagine you have found the pinnacle of happiness. Like, I'm really glad this is a place you love. You have your buddies, you have your bikes, you play wiffle ball, you know, you go to the ice cream stand, but I promise you there's more. There's more on this path to happiness that we can find. So, I am I feel horrible, like any mom would. But fast forward a year, and so many great things have happened. My family has really kind of found their footing. My son is thriving. My daughter is thriving. They have friends. They found sports teams. They're in every Michigan State event. And then they've obviously been a big part of my career and my job and my passion. So fast forward into the end of the first year story, all went pretty well. After I, told him his happiness path was at one point in question. But both my parents, my dad went to Lansing Sexton High School. Woo! All right. My mom went to Lansing Everett. Yep, she was. There we go. She was there before Magic. And then, I was a graduate of Okemos High School. So both my dad's a dentist in the area for over 50 years. So this is a place that we love. It's a place that we've really been glad to come home to. Wrapped up our first season. I appreciate you sharing some really cool things about our team. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But today what I want to share is about how we run our program. I think anytime you're part of an organization, there's just some things that go into, I think culture is such a buzzword. I think you have to have a strategy with that. And with that strategy, you have to have a plan, and you have to stay consistent with it. So I'm going to share how we built our culture and what that looks like. And ultimately, what I shared, a lot of my staff, we've been together for a long time. My staff, all of them came with me from Bowling Green, so we've actually been together for 7 years. And what's really cool is when I talk about our core values, is they're constantly pushing us to be better people. Like, there's things that we're always thinking about, not just relative to our job, or to our team, or to our program, but they just are constantly kind of in the back of your head, pushing you to be better humans. So I'm going to share that. My very first team meeting, I'll never forget it, when you're with a new group and have all these great ideas and things I'm going to share, and I remember leaving thinking, okay, I got to reel it back, right, one step at a time. And this group really thrived with us operating in that one step at a time. And with that one step at a time, these were the 5 things we talked about all the time, right? I always say you've got to be about what you talk about. You've got to be about what you are about. And your team has to know what you're about. So our core values, our very first one is be a great teammate. Okay, simple in theory, really hard to do. Right, really hard to do. One of my favorite things about coaching basketball is I believe it's the ultimate team sport, right? We're better together. This past season, we had 22 straight games where we didn't have a back-to-back leading scorer. Right, so that's evidence of playing good team basketball. But we talk all the time about being a great teammate, which ultimately means doing what's best for the team, which is often not always what's best for you. Okay, and so I think about this a lot too in my life, and this is a silly example, but it's true. So I'll come home from work and I'll think I had a really important day, right? I'm like, I just had this really busy, tired, and my husband has the kids, and and he's got the laundry out, and he's folding the laundry. All I want to do is sit down on the couch, right? And nobody talk for a little bit of time. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, be a great teammate. Right? Like, be a great teammate. Like, get your butt up off the couch and help fold the laundry, and let's help in pursuit of that. So that's a bit of a silly example, but those are things we're always thinking about, okay? And with our team, being a great teammate it changes your whole experience, right? It literally changes your whole experience when you begin to see things of what is best for the team and how can I help in that capacity. So I challenge all of you in your workplaces, right, to really think of, okay, what's best for the team, right? And operating out of that framework, really it changes your entire experience. Our second one is manners matter. Really important. I found I have never coached a grateful kid who had a bad experience. Right? I've never coached a grateful kid who had a bad experience. And I always say there's a big distinction between robotic manners. Right? We all grew up, I do this, I have a 10 and 7-year-old right now. What do we say? What do you say? Right? Grandma comes with some surprise. What do you say? Oh, thank you. Right? There's such a difference between robotic manners and true gratitude. right? True gratitude for opportunities, true gratitude for people. And we're so fortunate at Michigan State, our resources are unbelievable, right? I've coached at every level. I was a Division II coach, and I'm glad you shared it that at Ashland University we were 104-3, and guess what's the only thing people ask me about? Those 3 losses. I actually remember them better than the wins. But I was a Division II coach for 10 years. I was a mid-major coach for 5 years. And now being at Michigan State, and our resources are unbelievable. But something I've really learned is the things that matter always matter. I don't care what level you coach at, the things that matter always matter, and the things that make an experience are very overlapping. But with that, we have these incredible resources. So I remind our kids all the time, right? We have all these people here to help us. We have all these support staff, you know, a nutritionist, sports performance coach, we have meals, we travel the world, we get to do all these amazing things. And there's one thing to say thank you, there's another thing to pay attention, right? And to really pay attention to these people who are around us, to know them, right? And to ask them about their day, and to really get to invest in them. So that's something we work hard at. It's easy in this kind of world they live in, the feeling to be served. But the reality is that we have an obligation to give back, and we have a platform to give back. And I think when your gratitude becomes central into how you feel about your experience, you also play a lot better. Those things tend to go together. Our third one is trust. I always say slow to earn, fast to lose, but built every day. And for me, coming in as a new head coach, this was the most important one. And I knew that, and I knew it wasn't going to be just like this just because I show up, right? There's a high level of trust. And what's really cool is that when trust is high, performance is fast, right? Development is fast, right? If you really have a high trusting relationship, you can tell each other the truth, right? You don't have to tiptoe around it. You don't have to delicately kind of find. It's the same in the workforce, right? When there's high trust, there's high process. When there's high process, there's high growth, there's high development. And how do you work on that? Well, every day, right? Do what you say you're going to do. Follow through. Be honest. I love when people make mistakes and they just admit they made a mistake, right? What a relief. We all do it every day, right? We all make mistakes. And I tell our team all the time, there's a difference between a mistake and a pattern. I have grace, and so much grace for mistakes because I need it. But patterns, all right, that's where trust can get eroded. So a really, really important piece of just high-level relationships, and I challenge all of us in this. I think you have to be trust-giving, you have to be trust-willing, and you got to tell the truth, right? And really be curious and learn and admit when we're wrong. And I do that with our team. Like if we're watching film after a game, and we'll watch after a game and we do 2 categories, right? Good and needs improvement, because I find simple is better, right? Good or needs improvement. And in the needs improvement, I'll put clips of things I missed. I should have called the timeout there. You know, we ran this, but really we should have run this. It had worked the last 2 times, and if I could do it again, I would have run this. So I think taking ownership in that of mistakes you make is really important. Our fourth one is toughness. In the coaching world, this is really critical. I would say the season is full of peaks and valleys. Okay, even when I was Division II head coach and we went undefeated and won the national championship, there were peaks and valleys. I've never coached through a season where everybody thought every game just went right as planned or as how they envisioned it. So there's a resilience piece to that, and emotionally, mentally, and physically. And I think in the workforce too, right? We have a obligation to this, right? Toughness to me too is capacity. Right? You have to have capacity for hard things. You have to have capacity for endurance of a long day, right? There's a capacity to doing things well. And one thing, I'm getting a little off track, but one thing we challenge our team on, one of our team rules, is no cell phones at meals. We don't have cell phones at meals. We don't have cell phones when we're all together. Because we live in a world of distraction, right? And I think a toughness is being able to connect with people, right? There is a toughness to paying attention and a capacity for that. And then our fifth one is commitment, right? Central to anything done well. Central to anything done well. And I think about this all the time with my little people. I want them to be passionate about something, and then I want them to be committed to it. And I don't care what that is. I actually came home, I was recruiting all weekend, we had an evaluation weekend, so I was in Virginia and Pennsylvania, and I came home and there was a little note card on our kitchen counter that said, "Dear God, please help me put my clothes away, Clara." So I put her to bed that night and I'm like, looks like that prayer was not answered. And so I laugh. It's like, okay, like we can write a note, pray about, or we can do it, right? We can have a commitment to keeping our room clean. I mean, she's so funny, but it made me laugh, but it really did. The note card, the Dear God prayer was not the answer. But commitment is so important in anything done well. And when you can put passion and purpose, commitment can follow right behind with that. And that's a really good challenge for us. And the other challenge is with commitment is long after the feeling has passed, right? It's really easy to be committed to something initially, right? It's really easy to be excited about something initially. I think about that team in preseason, right? Everybody's gun ho for what's to come in preseason. But who's gun ho in February, right? Who's gun ho in March? Who's in the trenches with you during that time? So commitment is something you have to stick with it, right? And you have to have a plan for it. And it can't be just how the moment moves you. And I'm laughing right now because my Orange Theory friend, she's like, I haven't seen you in a while. So I've got to get back committed to that. So those are our 5 core values, and what we do is we talk about them all the time. So, for example, every day when we practice, we do a warm-up. So our team comes down, they have a warm-up they do together. Right after the warm-up, we all huddle up. So that's our players, that's our coaches, that's our support staff, like we have a strength and conditioning coach, we all huddle up. And let's say it's Monday. On Monday, we're all going to go around and identify a great teammate. And it could be something that has nothing to do with basketball, right? Oh my gosh, my husband was such a great teammate. I got home late, but he got the kids to soccer, right? Or it could have everything to do with basketball, right? Ian picked me up from class. I was going to be late for practice. He got me there, and he's going to stay after to rebound with me, right? So we're always identifying these behaviors that we want to see, right? And we're acknowledging it. And it was really cool because coming in as a new coach, this wasn't something they had done, right? This is something I've done forever as a coach. And Mo Joyner, who's one of our seniors who just graduated, had a great career, unbelievable kid. And she told me, she's like, that first core value, circle coach, that was awkward. I was like, you're telling me. And then she shared, and you know what, coach, that first time somebody shared something about me, she goes, I can't believe how good I felt. Right? I can't believe how good that felt for a teammate to acknowledge just the way that I had helped them. So with that, right, we're constantly talking about the things we're about. We're constantly talking about the things we care about. And then for me as a leader, these are the things we go back to, right? So if a kid is late, let's say they're consistently having issues with being on time. Well, that's a commitment issue, right? Playing time. Something we run across all the time, right? Playing time issue. All right, that's a trust issue, right? We got to talk through that because right now you're not seeing what I'm seeing with what's best for the team. And so it all can come back to, it's not only kind of the fabric of who we are, it's also just the standards of how we operate. And I think those are really transferable. And I hope that you all are having that tick in the back of your head when you see maybe your partner mowing the lawn or cooking dinner or dishes are out, right? And we're all having that little tick of remembering, you know what, being a great teammate is just a better way to live. So that's a little bit about our program. I know Ian shared some really cool stats from the year. I'm going to share a few things too that I thought were worth sharing. Our first year we set the school scoring record, 82.8 points per game. That was fun. Yeah, thanks. When I was a head coach at Ashland University, we actually scored the most points in the history of women's basketball. We surpassed UConn. So that might be the greatest claim to fame. Okay. Most threes in a season, 283. We won 12 conference games, the most in 8 years. Swept Michigan for the first time since 2019. What One of my favorite moments from the season was after we won at Michigan. I had to go do media, and I came back, and the entire team was singing our fight song on their court. I was like, oh, that is really great. I did not tell them to do that, but that is really great. We beat Maryland for the first time in 5 years, which was great. They're an NCAA tournament team. And then lastly, we do have a kids camp for anybody who is looking for things for your kids this summer. We have a girls' kids camp June 17th through the 19th that we would love to have them join. So I really appreciate everyone being here today. I think there's a question and answer time, or are we done?
Yeah, no, there is.
Okay, I don't know if I talked too long. Yeah, go green.
All right. Any questions?
I have to apologize if we've been asked this a million times, but I'm very curious what it was like to prepare and scout for Iowa when you played them
Yeah.
last year. Because obviously this golden age of women's basketball, and
Yeah.
she's a big part of it.
Yeah, my favorite thing to share about watching Caitlin Clark, not from a fan perspective, but from a strategy perspective, is I think she's a prodigy. I think that's what separates her, is that in live speed, she can counter anything you do. I've actually never coached against anybody who in live speed can counter adjustments and changes. So what we did, now I can give all my secrets, because we almost beat them. And she's gone to the WNBA, and we will cheer hard for her there. We went into the game and interesting, she's an amazing scorer, but I actually think that she's a better passer. So we went in the game and we were brave enough to, instead of chasing her, they set tons of screens for her, we cut everything because we wanted to keep her out of the paint. So our goal was keep her off the free throw line, try to make her make hard twos, and don't let her pass. Like, we stayed attached on all their screens. So a lot of people will chase her and help up, and then she's a really good passer, so she'll dump off for layups. We also wanted to take away their transition. They have a really good rim runner, so in our transition defense, we had a player who was just in charge of taking that rim runner away, and it was not our post because they can't get back in time. They just can't. So we actually had to guard their rim run and match up with that so we could switch out. So in our game, she took the most shots she's taken all year. We wanted to make her, I said, she scores no matter what you do, but we can't let everybody else score. She took 40 shots to score 40 points, which is, everyone talked about how she scored 40 points. Nobody mentioned she took 40 shots. And the game's tied, and we got a really bad call, BS call with about a minute left. That gave them some free throws. We still fought back, and with 16 seconds left in the game's tied, and she had to make almost a half-court shot to beat us. So I think we had a pretty good game plan. Yeah, thanks. I have a funny story with that, though. So my daughter came, and she loves Caitlin Clark. She's, as a lot of little kids do, right? She's worth watching and paying attention to. And after the game, she's bawling. I'm like, I should be bawling, right? Why is nobody consoling me? She's bawling. I'm like, it's okay, we'll be all right. I don't like Caitlin Clark anymore. But now we're back on track. She wants a WNBA jersey and all that. But yeah. I don't know if we played them again what that would look like, but when we played them, I thought it was effective.
Coach Fralick, Tom Ham. Question is that obviously you got the team that you got when you got here.
Yeah.
As you go forward now, recruiting, looking at your 5 things that you're going to recruit for, it's difficult to find that because you can't be in the living room, you can't be in the high school coach's room. So how do you match that up, where you take who you get and then you transform them to those 5 rules?
Yeah, recruiting has changed. So we were just talking about the portal. It's part of our world. I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it's part of it. And what we find is we're really clear in recruiting about what we're about. So this is when I meet with recruits, we go through our core values. So what I find is it naturally filters. Like, kids who want that, seek that. Kids who don't want that, don't come. So with the portal even, I think that you can still find people that fit your culture and are about what you're about. But I think you just have to be really, really clear about what you're about and be unapologetic about it.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed this a lot. On the recruiting side of things, of those 5 core values, which one do you think is the most difficult for you to assess in candidates? So is there one that's kind of a hidden gem, and do you have secrets on how to unearth that?
Which one's the hardest to identify? I mean, they're all nuanced. I think being a great teammate is, I don't think that one's super hard to identify, because when you watch kids play a lot, you can pick up on that. I think trust is very nuanced, and I think it's really, really important and really complicated. So I think that one's probably the hardest to really navigate, because how trustworthy are they going to be, right? How trustworthy are they going to be? That probably is the hardest. And it's the most important. And I think it's the one you have to have the best plan around. And something we do in our program is I do monthly meetings with all our kids at even noon during season, and we talk about basketball, right? We talk exactly about their role, why it is that, what they have to work on. Because I just think you can speak the truth in love, and I think we all do better with honest feedback, and we all want to know what we need to do. So I don't know, trust, yeah. If anyone has any secrets to that, come find me.
Robyn, Andy Oesters from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, go Wolves. As a person who deals with high school sports parents all the time, I'm curious from your level, what advice do you have for high school sports parents who are parenting athletes coming up in a world where all coaches tell them they're going to play a college sport?
Be quiet.
I feel like this could be a symposium, like we have all the So a few things we do, I mean, parents are involved. I think they're important. They're an important part of kids. One thing we do is we're really clear about their expectations in our program. I'll talk to parents about anything, but I'm never talking about playing time. I say that's what people expect us to figure out, right? We spend a ton of time. Nobody needs to get it more right than me, right? I actually have the most on the line to get that right. So we're really clear about that. But if I could give advice to parents, so now it's interesting because I'm seeing the world. Like my son plays pretty competitive baseball, and he's on this pretty competitive basketball team. And during, we have these foggy goggles full of love and protection, and it can be hard to discern. But from my experience, it's like, I think it's really important to be involved, and I think it's really important to give space. So sometimes I get asked, like, I don't get to all my son's baseball games. I get to a lot of them now, and I think that's great. And sometimes, when I ask him how baseball goes, and he says good, and I don't get anything else back about it. And I think they need that space to just fail or succeed, and not everything have an evaluation. If you have the opportunity to consistently be there, I just think they have to have the space to not feel like it was good or bad. Like there doesn't have to be a value on it, and when they want help, and they'll ask for it. And I promise you this, coaches aren't perfect and they get things wrong, but they are trying to win, right? They are trying to win. And I tell my son this, I go, there's this group. It's really obvious what to do with this group. They're the best, they're real obvious. And then there's this middle group where it's the coach's preference. And then there's this group where it's obvious too that they probably aren't playing. So, and most people are in the preference area. So if you don't want to be in the preference area, get better, right? And so that would be some feedback too. That everybody knows where to play LeBron James, right? Like that would be mine. And as a parent, I think you just give space. Let them have a journey that you can be part of, but they don't feel like everything they do has an evaluation.
Coach,
All right. Good job.
Well, that was not only a great message, Coach, but fun.
Yeah.
Made it fun besides that human side of it. Okay, so thanks again for your message. We appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Ian, thank you so much for what you've done. I saw a lot of notes being taken. I know I took more notes than I ever have, quite frankly. We've had some great speakers here, so you brought some good stuff to the table. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors, Fly Lansing, Capital Region International Airport, Shaheen Chevrolet Cadillac, Dean Transportation, Sinair, Foster Swift Attorneys, LAFQ, Lansing Sports Commission, WLNS Channel 6, of course, PNC Bank. And thank you to my team, really, because I don't want to ever miss out thanking them, because we do team effort where we do, and we do it with very few people. Sarah Mosier, Benjamin Robinson, Michelle O'Kelly, Helen Post, and Jeff Mosier. And a big thank you to all of you again for being involved in this. This has been a wonderful speakers series over the years. We've been going for actually a whole lot of years. I don't even want to tell you how many. Our next event for 2024 will be the mid-year economic forecast series, which will be in July. And that'll be with the release of the Michigan Future Business Index, underwritten by Samaire. Thank you again. This thing has really taken on a life of its own in the last 3-4 years. I sit on an advisory board for the Federal Reserve, and they show their numbers from their beige book, and then the guy who's running the meeting always says, and Chris's numbers, he calls them Chris's numbers, but they're the Michigan Future Business Index are, and they coordinate well. So we really have a good spot in this whole thing. Watch for those details at MichiganBusinessNetwork.com, along with the spring survey period of the newest Michigan Future Business Index survey, which will be going out in late May, just next month, through mid-June. And then we'll be going on about a 6-stop tour, I think, around the state, presenting the Michigan Future Business Index. So don't forget about the quick survey. Fill that out, please, if you would, on your tables. That relates to this event series, allows us to plan further for the events in 24 and 25. Meanwhile, we've built in some more networking time, so if there's someone in the room you didn't get to, you have a little time now before you have to go back. And thank you also very much for being part of this. Remember, as you hear from the people around the room at the round table, we are a team, and we are winning regionally, and that's what we have to do. So interconnect. Thanks for being here, and have a prosperous month.